Wildfires. Last year's wildfires in Northern California, the worst fire disaster in the history of California, is unfortunately an example of what is becoming the new normal. Fiercer and more frequent wildfires, with Berkeleyans receiving spare the air and AC alerts about unhealthy air more and more often. And it's not just in California. This summer, we have seen fierce wildfires all over the world, here in the States, also in Canada, and in countries like in Greece, even in cooler Sweden. We've seen wildfires out of control. Warmer, wilder, and also wetter weather, like Florence on the east coast of the USA, is becoming more frequent. More dangerous, more unpredictable weather. And that's just climate change. Globally, we are facing a convergence of crises. In addition to climate change, we are killing off animals, fish, the pollinators that we depend on for the food we eat. We are polluting our oceans, the air we breathe, and the water we want to drink. And far too many people are still living and dying in extreme poverty, and human rights are violated every day. We are very far away from sustainability, from a state where the basis for good lives for people is secured everywhere, now and in the future. This is the grand challenge of our time, finding out how to secure the social foundation for people everywhere while staying within the ecological limits of our planet. That is what sustainability is about, and that's what the green circle in this figure represents. The red parts in the inner part of the circle, they show how far we still are away from securing basic needs for people: food, water, health, education, while the red parts outside the circle show how far we have already gone beyond the safe limits of our planet. If we are going to meet this challenge, if we are going to avoid catastrophe and secure sustainability, we need business to contribute. That is my area of research. We need corporations to move from business models based on overconsumption, based on exploitation of people and destruction of nature. But how do we achieve that? The brilliant scholar and communicator Robert Reich here at UC Berkeley has identified corporations' pursuit of profit for shareholders as one of the pervasive problems of our time. But there doesn't seem to be much that we can do about it except ask politicians to please not give more tax reductions to corporations, because corporations are the property of the shareholders. But who are shareholders? What are shareholders? And are they really owners of the corporations? Well, shareholders are investors. The first shareholders in a corporation are the ones that invest in a business as it is setting up. And for that, they get shares. Shares give them certain control rights and certain economic rights, like the legitimate expectation to receive some kind of return of that investment in the shares if the corporation goes well. Shareholders can also sell shares to others who then become the new shareholders, and that's why shareholders want share prices to keep rising, the price of shares to keep rising. The interest of these shareholders has so dominated discussions about corporations that many people think that corporations are owned by shareholders and that corporations have a duty to maximize returns for shareholders. But is that really the case? Well, no, not as a matter of corporate law. And these are the three myths that I want to talk with you about today. The first myth, that shareholders own corporations. The second one, that corporations have a duty to maximize returns for shareholders. And the third one, that there isn't much we can do about it. Well, after 15 years of in-depth research in corporate law with colleagues all over the world in 2 international research projects, I can tell you this for sure. 1, shareholders do not own corporations. They own shares, which give them certain economic and control rights, but that's not the same thing. In my research, I found cases where shareholders have been sent to jail because they have acted as if they were owners of the corporation. That may sound radical. So here's John Kay in his weekly column in the Financial Times, a very conservative newspaper, saying exactly the same thing. He's a smart guy. Number 2, corporations do not have a duty to maximize returns for shareholders. That doesn't mean they can ignore the shareholders, but it means they can balance the interests of the shareholders with the interest of their employees and of creditors and suppliers and consumers, and with the interest of society on which they have such a great impact. So corporate law gives corporations a lot of space to become sustainable. But why isn't this happening in practice? Well, in our research, we have seen that a part of the problem is exactly these myths that I'm challenging today. Because corporate boards and CEOs, the managers of these corporations, they think that they have a duty to maximize returns for shareholders, even when they don't, as a matter of law. So number 3, now that we know this, we also know that we can do more about corporations, and doing more about corporations that involves all of us as citizens, as voters, some of us as employees, all of us as consumers, and as shareholders. Wait, did I just say shareholders? Aren't they the evil guys that are exploiting all of us, which can lead to a scenario as the one depicted here? Well, before we vilify shareholders, I'd like to see how many shareholders we have in the room. So if you're a shareholder, raise your hand. Quite a few shareholders, good, but also many who are not shareholders. So let me ask a different question. How many of you expect to receive a pension sometime in the future? I know that's far in the future for those who are very young in the audience, but if you sometime in the future expect to stop receiving a paycheck and want to receive a pension, then raise your hand. Okay, so practically all of us are actually then relying on returns on shares and other investments to secure those pensions. Because pension funds are investing in shares and some other stuff to secure those investments. So that means as shareholders through those pension funds, we also want corporations to give good returns on those shares. That means that for a whole variety of reasons, we want corporations to act sustainably, environmentally, socially, and also financially. So let's turn now to what you can do about this. You can demand that corporations are regulated better. You can tell your politicians that you want corporate law to be changed, not only to clarify what we corporate law scholars know, that corporations can be more sustainable, but to impose a duty on them to do that. It's not only possible, it's also the smart thing to do also for the shareholders. In our research team, we have found out how to do this, what such law reforms could look like. But we need politicians to adopt those changes, and the politicians need the voters to tell them what you want. So tell your politicians, tell your party that you want corporations regulated more smartly than they are today. You can ask the fund managers of those pension funds whether they are ensuring that the corporations they invest in on your behalf are acting sustainably. Our research shows that most of them are not doing nearly half as much as they could do. So you tell your pension funds that you don't want your pension to be based on destroying the world. Many people don't realize that pension funds have anything to do with sustainability. I know that I didn't before I started doing research in this area, but now you know, and you can do something about it. You can also speak up for sustainability, and then you can put your money where your mouth is. Practically all of us engage with corporations in our daily lives. We buy stuff, they provide services for us. So the next time you want to buy something, ask some questions, Google a bit, and see if you can avoid the stuff that is destroying nature and exploiting people. Some of you work for corporations. Some of you will do that in the future. And I know that many students, especially at a wonderful university like UC Berkeley, want to work for for employers that take sustainability seriously. Stick to that attitude, keep at it, because the more we ask questions, the more we make demands of our politicians, of the funds that invest in corporations, of the corporations themselves, and of ourselves, the more we act as if the world matters, the greater chance we have of securing that safe and just world for all of us. Our future and the future of our children depend on it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Beate.
Thank you.
Give it up for Beate.